A number of teenage stabbings across the UK over the past few weeks has led to calls for more youth workers specialising in so-called county lines gangs, the organised criminal groups using children to supply drugs, usually from cities into smaller towns and rural areas. The latest figures suggest a large rise in the number of children recorded as being trafficked and used for organised crime. Jeremy Cooke has spent months with Edge North East, an organisation in Newcastle that saves and rescues children groomed by criminal gangs, to see the devastating effect it has on young people and on their families.
2 teenagers have died after being stabbed just a mile apart from each other.
This is a story of children caught up in a world of violence and tragedy.
He's my little boy and I can't protect him and he's out there. It's breaking the family apart.
It's the story of one organisation battling to reach kids in the gravest danger.
As long as they can line their own pockets with money, they don't care who they use. And it ruins these young people's lives.
Fighting to save children from criminal gangs.
If we let our guard down for a minute, somebody's going to come in and grab them.
County Lines is all about drug dealing, organised crime gangs using children to move cocaine, crack, whatever, all over the country.
Years ago, you just wouldn't think about using a kid to run drugs, but now they don't care who they use. It is heartbreaking.
No answer. Yeah, I'm really worried now.
We've been given exclusive access to Edge North East, a small team with one clear mission: to save children from the gangs.
What time did you last text you?
About midnight.
How old is she?
15.
Right now, it's Lorna dealing with an immediate crisis: a missing teenage girl.
Thanks, bye.
She is vulnerable, isn't she?
She's very vulnerable.
This is where it gets serious.
I'm scared I'm going to lose her.
Lose her to the gangs, to exploitation, to being sent on trains, buses, any transportation to anywhere in the country. That's what happened to Nicole.
I think at the point I realised I wasn't going to get anything, it was too late. I was already well and truly in it and doing it, and there was no choice in it. There was no, I can decide when I was going to do it or where I was going to do it. It was they would tell me and I was doing it. If I wasn't doing it, I would pay for it and I would know about it.
And that's all that's left, really, is the memory of him.
Another sad street memorial to another young life lost. Reports this week from across the country of more stabbings, more deaths.
I feel absolutely gutted. We need more people out there on the streets to help these kids, you know, to get them to understand and to teach them and to get them back on track. It's nowhere to live.
It sounds odd, but for some young people, being arrested can be a turning point, an opportunity for youth workers to make first contact.
There are 10 cells along this corridor set aside for what they call juveniles, for children. And behind this door is a young person who's in police custody.
Like others on the Edge team, Lorna's own life experience, her own troubled youth, can help make vital connections.
If you were in the custody, you were talking to your young self, what would you say?
I'm going a bit emotional. That someone did care. And that my life didn't have to be like that. Sorry.
The government says that thousands of county lines have been dismantled. It's becoming a priority for many police forces.
Some of these organisations are massive. They are so geared up to recruiting these young people with vulnerabilities. And not only is it about the drugs and the violence, it's about that. It's about the life-ruining effect. So if they're listening, they are not safe. Northumbria Police will absolutely pursue them and will get justice.
Edge is all about keeping kids safe, helping their families too, like this mum we'll call Sarah, worried sick about her missing teenage son.
Do you know where he is now?
No, I don't. And that's the worrying part. Not knowing if he's alive or dead. It's not his kind of choice. He cannot, if somebody says to him, right, I want you here, there, or this time, that time, he has to be there, or else there's repercussions on the family.
Imagine it was your child.
What's it doing to you?
Killing us. It's really, really hard. He's my little boy and I can't protect him and he's out there. It's breaking the family apart.
For Chris, a check-in at the beach with Jason.
I'm not going to allow anyone to cast you adrift either.
Keeping him on track.
Small steps actually are like massively important.
Long-term support.
The situations where I've either been arrested and I've been in a holding cell, they've called my dad. My dad's not turned up. They've called social worker. My social worker's off work, so he ain't coming. Without even having to ask, Chris has just turned up.
If you want to say something to Chris, what would you say to him?
Thank you, innit? Being a father figure, an uncle figure, a big brother, friend, best friend. I can't lie, thank you, innit? You've helped.
These children need all the help they can get. For Nicole, it's still hard to believe what the gangs do to children. What they did to her.
Not words for them, you know. I don't wish, I couldn't think of anything worse. I wish on them people, to be fair. Because it's so self-centred of them to know that they're young, naive kids that don't genuinely at that age don't know any better.
With intervention, with ongoing support, young lives can be turned around. But Mum Sarah is still waiting for her son to come home. He's already been missing more than 50 times this year. And tonight, he's still out there, somewhere. Jeremy Cooke, BBC News, Newcastle.
For details of organisations that offer advice and support with county lines and modern-day slavery, you can go online to bbc.co.uk/actionline.